often report on wrongfully convicted people who are freed from prison. Many of these cases result from the work of conviction integrity units.
Well, there are about 100 of these units across the country, but only 3 in Ohio and none in Northwest Ohio. Lead investigator Brian Duggar went to one of the nation's most effective units in Detroit, where a man owes his freedom to their work.
2005 was a violent year in Detroit. 359 people were murdered. 2 of them young children who died in a firebombing. And for 16 years, Kenneth Nixon, Michigan inmate 499036, was held responsible and locked up.
It was a huge adjustment. Not only the doors locking, but the environment itself, the confinement, the people telling you what you can and can't do, and being caged in a room with someone that is actually a murderer.
But despite what a jury said, he is not a killer. His nightmare ended in 2021 when a judge agreed with the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit that Nixon should never have been charged.
That's right, big brother.
I believe the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit saved my life.
I'm trying to resolve that.
Led by former defense attorney Valerie Newman, the unit has recommended exoneration for 36 men since 2018. And a judge has agreed in each case.
They're very heartwarming. You're glad that we've been able to correct an injustice, but they're also terrifying and sad because someone has lost so many years of their liberty when they didn't need to.
The Wayne County unit was started by prosecutor Kim Worthy. It has received more than 2,000 requests for assistance and has reviewed about 900 cases in the last 5 years.
A high percentage of our cases involve mistaken eyewitness identification. We have had false confessions. We've had confirmation bias and tunnel vision on behalf of the police. We've had cases with jailhouse informants.
In Nixon's trial, a jailhouse informant got a deal for testifying. He later said he only learned about the case from the news.
I didn't know his name, his face, anything. I didn't know anything prior to, him showing up in court. So it was a bit strange, I guess, and awful to be in a situation where this was happening. But at that point, I knew, I was done.
But the Detroit man's name is now on the National Registry of Exonerations. That list, compiled since 1989, includes 3,301 wrongfully convicted men and women.
Conviction integrity units for a very large percentage of cases where people have wound up on the National Registry of Exonerations. And it's a trend that I hope continues and grows because it's important for justice, it's important for the community. I think the community has a lot more trust in a prosecutor's office when they're willing to say, we got it wrong.
Hi, Julia Bates.
Since Julia Bates was elected Lucas County prosecutor in 1996, 3 local men have been added to the list because of court action, none because of a review by Bates's office. For more than 20 years, she fought innocence claims by Wayne Brady and Carl Willis, who were the subject of a 2019 WTUL investigation, guilty without proof. With no local or state conviction integrity units, the men were forced to file nearly 10 appeals over the years.
So I think it is fair, I think it is just.
Until Bates finally agreed to offer them a plea to lesser charges. They were released on March 28th, still maintaining their innocence.
It's a good article.
Retired Seattle area judge Deborah Fleck offered public support for the men, and in an interview with WTUL, she expressed frustration with the lack of option for the wrongfully convicted.
I think there should be conviction integrity units in every single county, hundreds of counties around this country. But even better to me would be statewide conviction integrity commissions so that it wasn't up to an individual prosecuting attorney to try to find the money.
On Monday, Franklin County began accepting claims to be investigated by its new Conviction Integrity Unit. Cuyahoga and Summit counties are the only other Ohio counties with similar units. Every large county in Michigan has a CIU, along with the Attorney General's office. Now, last year, local appellate judge Gene Zamuda chaired an Ohio Supreme Court task force that recommended an Ohio Innocence Commission. The General Assembly has not approved that recommendation.
Here in Detroit, a prosecutor who very firmly believes and has stated over and over and over that she believes in justice. And if justice means that our work shows that someone was wrongly convicted, then this office is going to do something about it. But you have other prosecutors who are not willing to say that. You have prosecutors who think the system is infallible and can't see past a conviction.
For Nixon, his family spent more than $100,000 over the years fighting in court for his freedom. He would likely have died in prison without Newman's team.
So if I can get some of that going.
Instead, he now advocates for judicial reform and reentry programs. And he continues to rebuild and adjust to his new life.
I enjoy the quiet. Prison there's nothing ever quiet in prison. There's no place where you can go and close the door and just collect your thoughts. One of my bad habits that I'm still trying to shake is I'll sit up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because that's the only time the world is quiet.
Now, I did reach out to Julia Bates and asked her if she would consider beginning a conviction integrity unit here in Lucas County. And I also asked her if she would have a conversation with me about the topic. She's yet to respond to my request. But if you believe that Lucas County should explore this type of unit, email us here at 11investigates@WTUL.com. Reporting live in studio, this is Brian Duggar for WTUL 11.